Hey there, and welcome to the Online Startup Summit, where you're going to discover everything you need to know about starting an online business from the ground up. I'm your host, Charlie Weedle, and today I'm so excited to introduce you to this amazing expert, Erin Schurtz. Welcome to the show, Erin.
Hi, good. I'm so excited to be here. It's great to join you. So thank you.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure to have you here. I'm so excited to get into this. So you guys, I brought Erin into the summit because she is the co-founder of Mommy. She's an inventor, an entrepreneur. She's a military wife and mother of 3 children. Before creating Mommy, she was involved in many high-tech ventures, and she loves solving problems with technology, as do I. So, Erin, I would love for you to tell a little bit about your background and what it was like for you starting your own business.
So it's a great question and something that I think about a lot because I think your journey always where you start, you don't necessarily always know exactly where you'll be. And your life takes different turns and twists. So for me, I was in corporate America. I loved it at the time. I was kind of on my own. I was traveling every week and here and there, but definitely following more of a regimented, here's what you're doing. I was in marketing. I was in sales first, marketing and public relations. So all kind of forward facing for companies. I was with, as you mentioned, tech companies. So I was able to learn and see about really cool technologies that other companies were using or other people were using to do, make processes faster, start their own businesses, do whatever. But I was on the corporate side, kind of observing it from the sidelines and was really comfortable there until I got married to a guy in the military and found out we were expecting our first child right after we got married. And I realized I was soon really sick. I wasn't able to travel as much. I knew that we would be leaving and moving to a new location soon and that I could work remotely from my job, but I wouldn't be in the office that I normally was in. And so that seemed like it wouldn't work as efficiently. And I just thought, you know what, this is not, it just wasn't really fitting my life anymore. At the same time, I've always been the kind of person that likes to solve problems that I'm facing at that moment. Like, here's a good example. When I was single and I was approaching 30, my roommates and I were all complaining about how we never got asked out on dates. And one of them had just tried out for ABC's Bachelorette and she wasn't called back, and which is crazy because she's insanely beautiful and insanely dramatic. So she would have been the perfect fit. And we were all sitting around the dinner table talking about it. And we're like, well, and I had been in technology for a while, so I thought, well, what's holding us back from just doing this on our own? This is in 2010. So I bought a video camera the next day and we launched a blog, which was like the old school blogspot.com back then.
Right.
And we just went for it. We put an application online, had guys apply from all over the world. We had them come in on their own time. We were bootstrapping, right? But we made that happen. And she actually got married through doing it. And I continued to do 5 more seasons. It was awesome. And it kind of sparked in me this drive to create problems through a better process and a better way. And so if you hit one roadblock, find another way around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here I am, married, pregnant, really sick, and I realized, and this is not as technology driven, but I'll get to that, I couldn't take my vitamins that I was supposed to take, prenatal vitamins, and I couldn't consume or keep down much food. So as a new mom that had always wanted to have a family, I was kind of paranoid and freaked out about if I was doing the right things for the baby, if the baby was going to be healthy, if I was healthy. I mean, I wasn't feeling good for sure. And as I almost choked down my prenatal vitamin one day and seriously wanted to vomit, I thought there has to be a better way to get this. They're huge. They're these huge horse pills that you have to take and they're awful. And so I talked to a friend of mine who's an OBGYN and I said, you know what, is there a better version of this pill, maybe in a protein shake or something like that I could take? And she said, no, but that's a really good idea. So let's partner on it and create a product because a lot of my patients could use that. And I said, well, I could definitely use it. So that was the beginning of Mommy, the first prenatal protein shake that ever hit the market. And it's all history from there. But yeah, that's how it all began and how I became a business owner from home, from my couch. which was great and a really great change for me at the time when I couldn't really get around like I was before.
Totally. I love that. And I can also relate. It's so nice having a business that you can work from your couch. It's so
Yes.
nice. That's the beauty and the freedom of having an online business.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's harder. I think that there's this huge wave, and I'm a mom, and I'm a stay-at-home, but I work at home mom, right?
Yeah.
And I have all these friends that are doing different businesses, and a lot of them are doing MLMs and direct marketing, and there's so many that can be awesome, and there's so many challenges that come along with it. I think that for me, starting something that was my own idea from the beginning has its unique challenges, but such a huge upside and benefit at the same time. And so I love sharing that knowledge with people because I think that there's so many dreamers out there that have ideas, but they don't know where to go with it. And that was me. And so I've learned a lot since then. This was in 2013 that we started Mommy. So it's been, 6 years now. Yeah.
So what's that like, having an online store? I mean, what things have you learned over the years by having an online store that you think you would have liked to have known when you first started it?
How much time do we have? Oh my gosh, Charlie. I mean, everything. Okay, so the first thing is, literally there's so much. So the first thing is, it's all about imagery, right? I will tell you that the way that it looks and feels, and I am not a visual person and I'm not one of those Pinterest moms. Like I'm a Pinterest fail person. I'll see something and then I'll try to create it and it's like the worst. So I'm coming from a place of, I knew I needed to create beautiful imagery and imagery that looked well lit and all of that. I just had no idea where to go. So I think finding good creatives that can help you or taking a course to learn the creative yourself. I bought a nice Canon 7D because I wanted to learn and I knew that would help with, my product photography and imagery and stuff. These days, consumers just expect that level of, I guess, it makes it's so easy for them to digest the information about what your product is, what it looks like. Don't put up product images that don't reflect what it looks like because it's the fastest way to get bad reviews and people just want to know exactly what to expect. We've all probably ordered a dress that we thought we were going to look so good and it only cost $12 and then it came from China, which we didn't know it was coming from, and it looks completely different than it did before, right?
And it's like 3 sizes too small.
Oh, totally. I had a friend that did that for her prom dress, and I was like, well, you should have known. But those companies are a flash in the pan, right? And you'll see those all day long. They'll have tons of orders, and then it'll fall apart. I ordered something from a company recently that was supposed to be this awesome world map for a child's wall. And I ordered it and it was like this big. And it was supposed to be like huge. And it kept falling off the wall. And I was like, what? So I guarantee you they had great imagery, but they didn't represent their product. So I would say that that's the first thing. And then not only product shots, but also, and honestly, an electronic rendering is fine in many cases. You don't have to go to the length of having your product photographed perfectly, but that's a huge thing, is just image. So to get that out of the way, image is something that I learned I needed help on, and I got help on it, and it made a big difference. The other thing is make it easy on yourself. And if I could go back, and I'm not getting paid to endorse this, I would do Shopify. I would. For me, we did WooCommerce. It doesn't integrate with everything. The plugins seem kind of wonky. From all the shop owners that I know, and I know a lot now that are doing it, Shopify is the best one, the easiest one to make everything look really well, to integrate with social media. That's another thing. Make sure that you have something that will easily integrate. A lot of the websites out there have great templates and they might look pretty because another designer has built something and you'll want a website just like that. But if it doesn't work really well for e-commerce, then you're going to have a huge headache and you'll probably end up going back to one that's built for e-commerce anyways. So I always tell people just start with Shopify, even though I personally don't have a Shopify website. So if you go to mommy.com, it's not, but I wish that we'd started that way. It's just a huge headache to change over. So that's the other thing. Getting all of your payment portals and everything figured out, doing price comparisons on how they all look because they are different, making sure that that payment doesn't change in a certain time period, negotiating if you have to. Sometimes they'll let you know that they won't, but sometimes you can get better deals depending on volume, and you can write that into a contract. So that's a huge thing. Also, just with inventory. Okay, so oh my gosh, I've learned so much. There's so many things. Okay, so the first thing that I would do, and I actually have a roadmap that I'm going to be offering to you guys at the end of this that will help with that. But the first thing that I would do, whether you have a dream for a product, whether you have a product, or whether you have a ton and you're trying to figure out where to go, define, and I'm a big fan of doing everything on paper. Define who you are. Define who you are, who your target buyer is, or buyers are, and how they typically buy products like yours or are buying yours currently, so that you can get a good profile of what's going on. And the reason why you want to do that is, I didn't know this when I started Mommy, but there's so many different ways that you can sell a product online. You can do an exclusive with a retailer, like for us. There's like Zulily even, which is, some companies just put all their eggs in that basket. Or Jane.com. If you're a fashion brand, you can put all your eggs in Jane.com and do way better, and they do the fulfillment. And if you did it on Amazon, you'd make way less money. I mean, you got to think about who you are, who's buying your product, right? Mm-hmm. For me, it's very niche, very niche. Amazon is definitely my money maker. But I didn't know that starting out. So we were in retail. We were on our website. We were all over the place. We were selling to any distributor that would take our product, which I would not recommend. Don't just go for like whoever wants it, because then you'll get in price wars against yourself and you won't be able to control. I can't tell you how many letters I've had to send out from our attorneys saying, please, take your pricing up, or, like there's not a lot you can do to fight that battle. Once your product gets out there and a lot of people have their hands in it, it's so hard to control. So be really stingy about who you are, who your buyer is, and where they're shopping, and try channels before you really buy into just one. Experiment a little bit. It's okay to do that. Kickstarter, if you're a dreamer, Kickstarter is such a great way to get your product out there. And there's like a formula to having a successful one that I know so many people that have done Kickstarters and they've all gotten funded. They're all following a formula to make it happen. You can't just put a project on there and hope it goes out. Even if it's the greatest thing ever, it won't. You have to do certain things to get it there. So doing that initial exercise of who you are, what your product is, very defined. I have a friend right now that wants to start a dog collar business, and she's like, okay, let's get going. She's sending me all these pictures of dog collars, and I'm like, you have to know who you are though. Like all of these colors are so different, like own something and do that, because if you're all across the map, there's a place for that, but it's a lot harder to do. Yeah. I would define yourself really well first. And those are just a few of the things that I've learned in doing an online business.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I mean, it's knowing who you are and what you do differently than everyone else, because that really lands you in that specific, this is why you choose me versus everyone else. As opposed to if you just do the same thing as everyone else, then everyone's like, well, why can't I just go to Amazon and just get it there for like $20 cheaper,
Totally. So, and that should be where your marketing leads, like what is the star of your marketing. One way to do that, because I think sometimes, well, all the time, if we're creating our baby, like here's my babies on the wall, right? I think all my babies are the most beautiful babies in the world. Like they're my babies. I created them. And obviously everyone's going to look at them and think those babies are so cute, but guess what? Not always true. And that's going to be the same thing with your product. So here's how I would overcome that. And you have to be willing to be okay with honesty, first of all. There's no value in the friend saying, oh no, you look great in those jeans, if you really don't. There isn't. And you have to be okay with that. So emotionally get yourself into a place where you are okay if somebody tells you something about your baby, your product that you don't like, because that can be valuable information. You don't always have to take their advice, but it can be really valuable and help you go in a good direction. So that's the first thing. So know that your baby is going to be picked apart, and that's okay. And then I would take those people in your life that are honest, and I would tell them, hey, on Friday night, I'm making dinner, come over. I'm going to show you something, and you're going to pretend like you're the sharks and I'm on Shark Tank, and I'm going to present it to you, and I'm going to tell you exactly what it is and why it's so great. And I want you to tell me like your real feedback, because sometimes you think it's a differentiator, but it's not really to the big public. So you will just drive yourself crazy trying to convince them why this is better than anything else that's like it. But it's not really. You have to figure out either a different angle or a different part to your product that differentiates it. And that's okay. That perfects your product. So don't get too narrow and stuck in what you have, and be open to the fact that it could be improved to be more unique.
Awesome. Such great feedback. What would you say, shifting topics, not really, but keeping within the same of an online store, what would you say is the easiest way to get customers, or the best way maybe?
So it's okay. So this is such a good question, and it's so hard to answer because it's going to be different for every business.
Yeah.
And here's why. I have a friend who sells electronics, and she had gotten advice from another friend that also sells in the same kind of market. Go with influencers. That's what you need to do. Just get them in the hands of Instagrammers that have 10,000 followers or more, and you're going to sell like crazy. Give them a discount code. Guess what? She did that. She spent a year seeding her product, and she got like 3 sales that she could track out of it. So people will tell you, influencer. Sometimes it works, but you have to realize if you're going to be seeding your product to influencers, unless it's very easy and different, like a friend of mine who had a baby product that was baby moccasins, and they were the first ones ever, really. And she got into like celebrities and all the big bloggers, and they did amazingly well, right? But they were brand new in the market. They were totally unique. They were really cute and stylish, and they were fashion. So she's sending them to people who are fashionable and who are always posting about fashion, and who are moms, right? That's her target market. So that works.
Right.
So that works really well. But for the electronics crowd, where they're just going for anybody and everybody who will post about it, it didn't work. It didn't work the same way. So I think that I would imagine that a lot of people would answer that question with influencer marketing. And I will tell you, I've seen the back end of it. For some it works and some it doesn't. So I would say always have that as part of your strategy, but don't bank on it. I would also say that, and I know this from personal experience, if you are going to go that route, make sure that you are not just giving away product, but they're also holding some money to advertise the posts that they post. So they're posting about a lot of companies though, and it's starting to get to the point where influencer marketing is still always going to be good, but it will only be good for the influencers that are really sold on a product. So they're posting about it more than once. It's not just one time, in their feed, halfway down buried, where no one can find it. There's no good link to a product page to buy. Make it really easy. Make sure that offer them a commission. Offer them a payment plus a commission on sales. And that way you're in deep only for what you paid them, but if they start making money on it, they're going to start posting about it more. So make it worth their while. Treat them like a part of your team and a sales team, and then monitor it as you go, and abandon stuff if it's not working, within a couple of months, I would say at the most. So I think that that's a good way, and social media shouldn't be ignored. But I would suggest that actually always over Google Ads. I think you have to be at a certain revenue number to get a benefit out of Google Ads. And they'll tell you all day long that you don't, but I've seen it from myself and other businesses. It can help with SEO, but it's not necessarily, unless you do major retargeting, going to lead a customer back. So at some point you'll have a number where you'll know it costs us X amount of dollars to acquire a customer. So if you have the kind of product that they're only going to be buying one time, you have to make sure that that number doesn't exceed the cost of your product, actually what you're making, right, after shipping and everything. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself with this great idea, but it's costing you way too much to acquire customers and it doesn't make sense anymore. If you can figure out add-on products or a way for them to buy over and over again, that's always a better way to do it. And then you'll be in a better position. So there's a lot of different ways, but you got to do testing. You have to test and figure it out because it's going to be different for products.
Yeah. Do you do auto ship with your products, with the Mommy Shakes?
We do. And we found, so here's what I would suggest about auto ship. It's great. Great to give lots of reminders for people to be okay if they cancel, to give them options for auto ship. People are liking that now because people forget or whatever. And so either let them change the date of when they get it. Let them do every other month instead of every month. Let them choose. That usually is more successful than keeping a rigid, you can only do a monthly. And then you tend to keep people more often that way.
Yeah. So I have a WordPress plugin that I built. So it's kind of like my own digital product. And one of the things, I do very little marketing on it and I get sales all the time. And it's because I found Facebook groups that are specific to this specific WordPress theme that this plugin works with. And just being part of a community can also help generate leads. And I'm sure you could speak about that too. I mean, there's so many mom groups out there on Facebook that, you know,
that's
just
being,
yeah.
And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that too, because it's really easy these days to find those communities and to get plugged into them. And it's actually not hard to build them yourself too. Make sure that if you're doing that, it's about like what you're doing. It's about the theme and about people that it's not about your plugin. It's about the general group, right? Because if people feel like it's less salesy and more actually trying to help them with their overall goal, they'll gravitate toward it more. So we always go to pregnancy groups, right? That's where we spend our time because we're interested in pregnancy and they're usually interested in us at that time. But it's so easy to find those now on Facebook. And sometimes LinkedIn is a good place to, depending on your product. But it's easy now.
Yeah,
Twitter.
definitely. Right. Yeah. What would you say is one of the biggest mistakes you made when you started Mommy?
I mean, that's another one. So many. And I'm proud of those mistakes. Do you know why? I wouldn't have learned the lessons that I did had I not made them. The first is that it kind of goes back to a little bit of what we were talking about before. Our first version of Mommy included 3 things that pregnant women need in addition to their regular diet: protein, pregnancy safe protein, prenatal vitamin, and DHA, which is most commonly found in fish oil. We decided if we're going to do this supplement, we want it to be all encompassing and have everything in one. So it takes away the guesswork from pregnant women, and they take one shake and they get everything they need for the day. You don't have to worry about eating for 2 or whatever. It's just done. Well, guess what? Fish oil doesn't really mix well with chocolate and vanilla, and we could not mask the taste. And I got trumped. I was against going to market with the product as it was, but it was, I mean, it definitely had a weird aftertaste. We did get it to the point where it wasn't like fish, but it was just not, it was off. And, but a lot of my partners, there was a lot of us at the beginning, were like, no, it's good. Like women that are pregnant are more concerned about their health than they are about something that tastes good. So don't worry about it. And I was pregnant at the time and I'm like, no, but they're like, yes. And so we did. We went to market with it, and it was the worst decision ever because we got such bad reviews, and it was terrible. And we couldn't get customers on our auto ship to stay because no one wants a chocolate fish drink. Yeah. I don't care. Everything that you want, you know. So we learned that, right? We had to adapt, and that goes back to like not being so married to your concept. And it took me a while to convince everyone that we needed to eliminate DHA from our shake. It's okay, just put the prenatal. We'll figure out DHA later. We'll get another way to do it. And now that's what we are. But literally, it took like 3 years to convince all the people involved that that's where we should go. We tried different formulators, we tried different things, and it was like no. people will still want to buy it, even if it's just protein and prenatal. And that was true. So that's a mistake, that we didn't listen early enough and fast enough and make changes enough. We were too married to our concept. The 3-in-1, that was our concept to be in. And then we were too married to that. So that's the first thing. Second thing is the people that you work with. And I know that this is going to be out there. And so I'll be careful, a little careful about what I say. And I won't name names, obviously, but sometimes you don't know until you get really into it. But I would just get to know the people that you're working with really well. When you're doing something like this, you're putting everything that you have into it. Don't build an online business thinking it's going to be a breeze and easy and you're going to be on the beach every day like some of the ads will show you. Sure, you're not going to have an 8 to 5, but that does not mean that it's easy. It can get easy, but you got to put a lot of work into it to get it to that place, right? So working with people who are also invested in it, I wouldn't ever take on a partner that didn't have an investment value into the company, just because you'll end up paying out money and a lot of times you don't get a return when maybe they decide to do something on their own, or they have a day job and are doing this on the side and the day job takes precedent. So I've been through it all, trust me, and you want to get good people. If you take investors, my recommendation is do not take passive investors. It's so easy, and we did this, to take money from people who just wanted to give you their money, but they're like, I don't want to get involved, and they didn't really have the expertise that you need to go forward. Figure out the whole your strategy and like find people that have that expertise. If you are raising money, if you're not, find them that can be part of your team and be there. We had our e-commerce specialist 6 years ago when we started left after a year. And I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I learned just like you guys that are watching are learning right now. Like I had to get there and learn it because he was gone and going through some stuff and decided that he couldn't do it anymore. And I'm like, wait, but that was your area. Like, how am I supposed to do this? So really important who you work with, and that you really tried to not do it all, but work with good people who, you know, have a vested interest and want, you know, act like owners, like they think like owners. So that's another thing I made mistakes on that I would have changed.
Yeah. Love that. Yeah. And like you said, it's so important to make the mistakes because you learn from them. So yeah, I mean, we can all learn from your mistakes, Erin, but it's great to make your own mistakes, you know? And that's just, yeah, it's just good advice that you have. So it's great.
Own it. I think that's a huge other part too. It drives me crazy when people try to dance or talk around something when they know they're in the wrong and they're making them. Just own it. People love that. I've said all the time, I'm like, no, mommy was not a success for a long time, and that's okay. And you get more respect, I think, for that.
When you're real and authentic.
Like it was. Yeah. So it's a good thing to own.
Definitely. So, yeah, I'd love for you to, you know, share a powerful tool or something that you use that in your business.
Okay. So I love the tool Voxer, Voxer. And the reason why is this, I'm so busy, it's ridiculous. And I'm running around, I have 3 little kids, I'm running a business, I'm helping other businesses as a consultant, I'm doing a lot of things. And so talking on the phone isn't always convenient because you always feel like you have to chit chat for a little bit, and it honestly adds up, right? So it's really, really effective. Voxer, you can share documents, files, photos, tools, but you can also leave voice memos. And you can do, like, when you're listening to somebody's, you can do it at like double speed or 3 times speed or whatever, so it's more efficient. And you can listen to them when you want. You can go back because they're all stored. They don't delete, which is awesome. If you do it on the iMessage, the iPhone, it will delete unless you keep it, and some valuable information can be lost. So it's kind of a time waster instead of making it more efficient. And you can also text. So I found that I use it every day, actually. It's a great way to do. And I even do Voxers and voice memos to myself. So that I can go back if I'm having a stream of consciousness while I'm driving and I need to remember. But especially to my business partner. For her, it's like all day, every day, just ideas. And she'll get to it when she can, but it's a great tool. I recommend everybody downloading it.
Yes. I also can attest to Voxer. It's great. I love it. It's so good to just, bounce ideas off of people when you have when it comes into your brain, you're like, oh yeah, da, 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 and just, you know.
Yes. Oh, and going off of that too, I forgot that part of that, I do Voxer with lots of people. But when especially if you're in business on your own, you definitely need this. But even if you have a team, I still have somebody outside the company. No one in my company even knows about this. It's my own sounding board. And she's somebody I trust. And we've created an agreement too. It's not just like, hey friend, what do you think? We've created an agreement. Hey, listen, you help me, I'll help you. No monetary exchange. We're both peers in the e-commerce world. But can we both download Voxer? Can we have a working relationship there so that I can call you, I can, or Voxer you, and you can answer me back and I can send you ideas. And because we have that agreement, we get back to each other more on everything. And it's so good to have a sounding board when I have ideas, when things aren't going well, whatever, and for her to you have to reciprocate it. Don't be just a taker, but It's huge. And we do all that on Voxer. So it doesn't take too much of our, valuable time working, but I would recommend getting somebody like that in your corner.
Love that. And yes, I agree too. And then last but not least, before we run out of time, what is your awesome free gift that you want to share with these people?
So we touched on little parts of it through this whole conversation, but I've created a roadmap that is, in succinct terms, is taking your idea for a product and making it into an actual product. So the process of how to do that in a roadmap, I put together for you guys for free. So you can download it. And I'm doing this specifically for you, Charlie. I've never made this before, but I've always wanted to. So I'm grateful that, we're doing it. And I hope it's helpful to everyone.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. I'm definitely going to be looking into that because I'm always into making new plugins and things like that as a web designer. It's a great way to bring in some additional revenue, just having some products out there. So yeah, I think that's great. Well, thank you so much, Erin. It was such a pleasure to have you here today, and thank you for sharing all those amazing, just all this amazing advice and tools and information that you have in your amazing brain up there. It's great.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me on. Good luck to everybody that's watching.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's such a pleasure. And for everyone else watching, please come back tomorrow for an equally powerful interview with an equally powerful, amazing online business expert. So we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.